Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Get in the Zone. I believe this is my fourth Get in the Zone here, and when we sit down in the synagogue to try to figure out what we can do as a team to give back to the community, we always feel that spending a little bit of time before the Chagim and kind of creating a space where we could actually reflect and think about how we can make this time more profound. I personally love the Get in the Zones. I love preparing for it. I love watching the people coming. I love people benefiting from it, and so on and so forth. For me, tonight is a very special occasion, not just because it's Get in the Zone, not just because it's my Monday night, which I miss, my Monday night people, my Monday night crew. It's because I'm still jet lagged. I got back from South Africa on Wednesday night. Hit the ground running, had a lot of work to catch up on. Shabbat, Baruch Hashem, we had people, we had guests. Was unable to rest. Motzei Shabbat, we had a program with 300 young people until 3 o'clock in the morning. On Sunday morning, I had people I was learning with. I had a young woman that I had to meet on Sunday night. And today's Monday. Right, I haven't stopped. So this is I spent some time today preparing a little bit, a few ideas, some from which I'll glean from my experience in South Africa, and others that I think are germane to the topic of getting in the zone for Rosh Hashana. Let's make this thing. Let's ignite this experience. So the one thing that was super profound for me on this trip was the people that I went with. For me, traveling with groups isn't just about getting up and visiting another country. For me, it's about spending time meeting new people. And it's about having the opportunity of hearing about their experiences in the places that we travel to. It's about seeing the world from another person's perspective, because I see the world all the time. I get to an opportunity to experience reality, but having 20-something people with you, and each of them sharing a little bit, the nuance, the thing that they heard, how they shared it. I'm in a group of watching people posting their pictures, telling their stories, and I was on the same trip with them, but they had a completely different experience. And I really believe it's such a powerful idea just to think about a little bit going into Rosh Hashana. Chachamim tell us that Rosh Hashana is a powerful time for teshuvah. It's a time to wake up. It's a time to think about, well, what do I want this year to look like? And we often spend time thinking about all the things that we're concerned about, like did I keep Shabbat properly? Did I keep kosher properly? And while those things are super important, but be consoled by the idea that Yom Kippur is going to forgive you for those things. Hashem is going to take care of the things that you have not done for Him. But the one thing that Yom Kippur does not forgive for, the one thing that Rosh Hashanah really doesn't really help, is the relationships that you have with the people around you. And one of the things that we saw in South Africa is we saw a group of people that were super proud, but also a group of people that had so little. I mean, the poverty there is imagine going to a town of 30,000 people, and this is a small town, that live in these metal shacks that are smaller than this podium, this whole area behind me. Okay, there no running water, no electricity. I mean, mamash, nothing. And you walk into their little village, and we went to one of these schools to just meet with the kids there. They're the happiest kids in the world, biggest smiles. They wanted to give us hugs. They wanted to high five us. They wanted selfies with us. It was such a humbling experience because we come from a world of so much abundance. We have so much to be grateful for, but we forget about it. We forget about all the things that we have. We forget about, the blessings that we have in our world. But being in this place where people had so little, you're humbled by it. And then from there, we traveled we went to Kruger National Park, and you're humbled by just witnessing the power of the creatures that are in this safari. Watching a lion wake up early in the morning, and he's literally a foot away from you. And looking at all that power, sitting there and looking at these beautiful creatures, these elephants that are so graceful and humble, and they're powerful, and they're part of these communities. There's something powerful about being there and witnessing all these things. And for me, going there, the Chachamim tell us that Elul, as we say, Melech Besadeh, God is in the field. We went to the field. We went to find God. And I'm hoping that the people that were there and those of you that are in this room that are on the trip, I hope you found little glimpses of God on our journey. And I'm hoping that some of those experiences for the people here tonight, that you'll find time. We're still at Elul. Melech is still Besadeh. God is still in the field. He's there. He's accessible. Now is the time to connect. Rosh Hashanah is coming very, very soon. What are we supposed to be doing? What is the actual avodah? So the first thing is that we have these there's three central ideas, but I want to focus on two. The idea of shofrot and malchiot. One is coordinating God as king, and the second is blowing the shofar. We also have zichronot. I'm sure someone else will speak about it, but that's for me is a bit more complicated. These two ideas are simple, stupid. I want to explain them to you. This is the way I understand it, at least. Malchiot makes sense to me. The idea that there is a God in the world is a foundational principle in Judaism. Why? Why is it so important? Those of you that have friends that have gone through any kind of growth or have gone through any kind of addiction know that there's something called the 12-step program. And the 12-step program is a very profound program that helps people recognize that their habits, their choices don't define them. That they have the ability of breaking out of the poor choices that they've made up until now. And one essential key to the 12 steps is the belief in God. As a matter of fact, there are some today, New Age therapists that tried getting rid of God from the 12 steps. They want to just do it without it. Let's get rid of God from the 12-step program, and maybe we could figure out a way of just, it doesn't work. They don't have the same success. And I believe that the reason for this is because when you believe in a higher power, when you believe in a being that is outside of space and time, you recognize two things. One is that life has meaning. You're not here by accident. Your lives have purpose. The purpose of belief in God is for you to recognize that there's purpose, there's justice, and also it's there to humble you. You're not alone. There's something bigger for you. You may not know what it is, you may not always sense it, you may not feel it, but there's something here for you that is profound and beautiful. And just having that hope alone is the power that one needs to break out of the cycle they find themselves in. The shofar is something different. The shofar is an interesting thing. We have this, those of us that were again there, you have all kinds of horned animals that we saw. We learned which ones we could use for a shofrot. But the shofar is this interesting horn item that we use we blow the sounds, and we know different kinds of tears, different kinds of crying, and so on and so forth. But really, it's a wake-up call. It's the New Year alarm. What are we celebrating in Rosh Hashanah? Mondays and Wednesdays, I spend time on campus. So today, I had about 47 young men waiting for me on Baruch's campus. I give a class there for them, and it was my first day there. It was very exciting. And I asked the question. I said, "Well, can anyone tell me here what Rosh Hashanah is about?" So these are a very interesting group of people. And one guy raised his hand. He said, "It's about the New Year." So I asked him, I said, "Well, if it's about the New Year, then why is this the 7th month on the Jewish calendar? If this is the New Year, because we say Happy New Year's, right? Rosh Hashanah, then why isn't this the first month of the year? Because it's not the New Year. So, well, what are we really celebrating? It's true that something new is happening, but the celebration has very little to do with the switching of the calendar. While it's true, yes, there's a demarcation of the year 5,782 coming to an end, and us moving to 5,784. That number has little to do with the time of the planet itself. It has to do with man's birthday. Rosh Hashanah is a celebration of Adam HaRishon's birthday. We're celebrating 5,783 or 84 soon years since Adam came on the scene. The first person to build a relationship with Borei Olam. That is what the celebration is about. And therefore, we know that time in Judaism is cyclical. We're always tapping into that special energy of the time that's here right now. And what's presenting itself is the same way that man was new and had full potential. This time of the year, each one of us has the ability of tapping into their primal selves, the most truest aspects of who you are, the most quintessential expression of what it means to be a soul and actually live your life as a soul. So Harambam in his Hilchot Teshuvah says as follows. He says that even though the sounding of the shofar in Rosh Hashanah is a decree, the Torah says blow the shofar. You know what he says it really is? He says it contains an illusion. He says the shofar's calling is saying, wake up, you sleepy ones. Wake up from your sleep. Wake up from your slumber. Inspect your deeds. Repent. Remember the Creator. Those who forgot the truth and the vanities and the time throughout the entire year. Devote your energies to the vanity and the emptiness which will not benefit you or save you. Look to your soul. Improve your ways, your deeds. Every one of you, abandon your evil path and thoughts. Become great. That's what this time is. When you hear the shofar, it's an alarm clock. Alarm clock to what? To wake you up from what? From the slumber of you not expressing the best parts of who you are. Every single person here has a picture in their mind's eye of what it truly means to be the best version of themselves. Whether that means being a better spouse, a better friend, a better community member, a sibling, whatever that area is, this is the time for you to start reimagining what it means to be the greater version of you. We get distracted. Hashem will forgive you. We have 1,000 things in this city to go ahead and distract us with. But ultimately, this is the time of the year where we do a little bit of introspection, a little bit of soul searching, where we ask that question, well, am I on the right path? Am I doing what I'm meant to be doing? Am I really engaging in a world of growth and development? Am I truly someone who is working on being a better human being? Am I working on being a better Jew? Am I working on being someone who's more loving and caring and understanding? How am I growing? Because status quo is not an option. Remaining the same and not growing is not that's not part of the plan. God has a different plan for you, and He wants you to move. Movement is life. We saw that. There is no animal that stays in one place in the safari. Everything is moving. Everything is in motion. Every animal has a keen awareness of its unique purpose and function in this world. There's no animal that says, you know what, I'm feeling lazy today. I'm not going to go on a game hunt. Maybe I'll catch something later. I'll do it tomorrow. There's no procrastination in the jungle, right? In the jungle, it's now. It's living life at every moment and recognizing that every minute is special. Every minute is an opportunity of doing something. There is no procrastination in that world. It's now or never. It's do or die. And that's what Rosh Hashanah is a reminder of. And you see this, by the way, this expression, I think, expressing itself so wonderfully. When over Rosh Hashanah, we read the story of Yitzchak and the Akedah. And at some point, Yitzchak looks at Abraham, his father, and says, hey, Dad, we're going on this trip. We're on a journey, right? There's no safari here. We're climbing up this mountain, not like Table Mountain. He says, Abba, we're doing this sacrifice thing. Well, where's the sacrifice? Where's the wood, the fire? Like, what's happening over here? And at some point, Yitzchak realizes that he's the guy that's going to be sacrificed. So he has a choice to make, right? He gets up and runs away. My dad's crazy. Or he finds the trust. It says, Vayelchu shnehem yachdav. Vayomer Avraham Elokim. God will show us, don't worry about it. God will show us, there's a path that is out there for us. And Yitzchak says, you know what? I trust the fact that there's a path laid out for me. I'm going to go with my dad. I'm going to go with my dad. Every single person in this room, everyone watching tonight, you are here for a reason. There's something unique in this world that only you can accomplish and no one else. Do you believe that? Do you live your life like that? Rosh Hashanah is the wake-up call and saying, hey, wake up, people! Forget about the last 12 months. I don't care about the excuses. Rosh Hashanah is the reboot, it's the restart. You can do anything you put your mind to. You're here for a reason. You're not sure with the path. You're on a path already. You don't realize you're on the path, but you're on a path already. Do you trust the path? Now, are you going to make the choices that allow you to express that best parts of you in the journey that you're on? That's up to you. Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, "Hakol tzafui v'rashut netuna." Everything is foreseen, but the freedom of choice is granted. But still, even though everything is foreseen, which means God has a plan, He foresees everything. It says "Hakol tzafui," right? Everything is foreseen, right? In the past tense, right? But God still grants everyone free will, which means like this: Mishnah is saying that God has an idea for your lives. But in that path, on that station that you're on right now, wherever you may be, you still have the ability of moving it in one direction or the other. There's a general hashgacha in the world, but ultimately you have the power of choosing what you want it to look like. You can stay where you are right now. You could let your life happen. And you could allow things to unfold, and that's okay, because there's a plan. Or you could dream more, you could dream bigger than wherever you find yourselves right now. And I believe that if you want to understand a little bit of what it means to be a Jew means to be a dreamer. To be a Jew means I never give up. To be a Jew means I never surrender. To be a Jew means that I'm someone that's always thinking about how I'm becoming a little bit more than wherever I am right now. We're not satiated with all the things that I have. I want life. I want to experience it in the most profound possible way. I'm never going to surrender to my circumstances. I always want a little bit more. We have every reason to give up and crawl and hide under a rock. The group of people that inspired me the most were the Holocaust survivors. Because God forbid, if I was, and knowing what I know, if I was a survivor and I witnessed the destruction of my town, my city, my family members, right afterwards, you know what I would do? I'm going on vacation. You could find me somewhere in Mexico on some beach with a martini and a book, a nice umbrella, and I'll come back in 5 years, and after I've gone through the stress of figuring out all my emotions and gone through therapy, I'll come out and maybe I'll re-engage with humanity. But that's not what survivors did. You know what the survivors did? They had the chutzpah to come back and go to Israel and rebuild the country. Impossible. They had the chutzpah of coming to different lands, foreign lands, languages they didn't speak. They came to this country in America, and they had the chutzpah of building institutions, the chutzpah of dreaming about a future. They weren't thinking about their pasts, for better and for worse. Maybe they needed to a little bit. But the way in which they dealt with their reality is, I'm going to grow and become more. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to allow the past to haunt me. Rosh Hashana is about letting go of what was. It's a new year. Shana Tova. It's happening now. This Shabbat, my friends, if you wake up a little bit and you just ask yourselves, where do you want to go? What do you want this next year to look like? Because you're on a path. You're going to get there. But what you choose matters. Hakol bidei shemaim chutz miyet shemaim. Everything is there. You have one choice to make. How engaged, how involved do you want to be? The Zohar says as follows. He says, Kol yom v'yom yotzro shel adam mitchadesh v'ro'eh l'hamito. Every single day, a person has something called an evil inclination. And every day it renews itself. It gets recharged overnight. You wake up in the morning, you're recharging the Yetzer Hara. It's fully charged, 100% battery power. And every single day when it wakes up, it has one thing it wants to do. It wants to destroy you. And he says, if it was not for God, right, helping that person, he would never manage to overcome it. So there's two ways of thinking about this Zohar. One is that I'm in trouble. Right? There is a negative force every single day that wants to kind of derail me. But on the other hand, there is this infinite being that loves you more than you can possibly comprehend, who wants you to succeed. That space, that dichotomy of this force that wants to destroy you, and this other force that wants you to overcome and grow and achieve, that place in the middle, that, my friends, is called free choice. That's what free will looks like. How are we using it? The world is falling apart. I don't know if some of you will be able to visit South Africa in 5 years from now. When we were there was something called load shedding. I was telling someone here, right? Every day between 2 to 6 hours, there's no power. How do you run a business without electricity? Sorry about it, no power. Everybody go home. Computers don't work. No air conditioning. Nothing. It just stops. Everything stops. No traffic lights. Nothing. It's mamash chaos. Why did this happen? It's because you had a government that started about 20 years ago, and they decided not to invest in their infrastructure. So now, in order to fix their infrastructure, they have to shut everything down. And depending on where this government moves, this is what I've been told from the locals, that will really determine the fate of that country. Right? We're so lucky to be alive. And with everything that's happening in this city, as crazy as it is, oh my God, it's a blessing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And with all the good that we have, right, what are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the things that are not there? Or are we focusing on the things that we have and we feel blessed and lucky? Are we allowing our environment to ignite, empower, encourage, or deflate? Become depressed? Are we thinking about all the things that are impossible for us to achieve? Or do you recognize that the words impossible have the words I'm possible, because you are very possible? Rosh Hashana is reconnecting to Adam Harishon. Everything is possible. Every possibility is waiting there for you. The question is, are you willing to reach out and grab it? Are you willing to reach out and push for a better, greater tomorrow? Rosh Hashanah is a time where you start imagining a greater future. Pick one thing over Rosh Hashanah that you want to accomplish. 10 days, we have 10 days, Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. Hashem will forgive you for everything, don't worry about it. Pick one thing, how do you start? Mitzvah is of vidui. Pick one thing that you are regretful and remorseful for. Write it out on a sheet of paper, admit it, this is where I failed. God, I failed in this area. One thing. Pick one thing that you're remorseful about and ask God for forgiveness, and then ask God for the strength to overcome it. And then what I want you to do next, this is key. It's not enough to stop and say, please forgive me, give me the strength to overcome. The next part is the key. Ready? I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine yourself doing everything right. I want you to take that regret and I want you to turn it into the superpower that you see yourself actually living your life as a person that is doing everything in that area that they're supposed to be doing. Now ask yourself, what does the world look like now with you being the best you? What does the world look like when each of us become the best version of ourselves? Think about it for a minute. We are suffering in the world today because of people who keep choosing not to become better people, not to push beyond the circumstance they're in. Rosh Hashanah is about hope. Rosh Hashanah is about waking up to the greatest power you have, which is choice. Choose ubchartam b'chaim. Choose life, God says. Choose to live a life of excellence and greatness, and I'm confident you and I will be living in a better, greater tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Shana Tova Metzukah.